Welcome to Withdraw Consent. I'm Jack. Okay, today I want to talk about libertarianism. Okay, so we've already done a video about libertarianism where we talk in general about the concepts of it and the ideas of it. I'll link it in the description below. Of course, Victor was there, and I think it was a pretty good episode. And so if you haven't seen it because you're a newer viewer, you could check that out. But today I want to do a totally different video, and I want to talk about the policies of libertarianism. So this guy was elected, and it was big in the news. His name is Chase Oliver, right? And I want to look at him and his views and see if on each view, I want to know this. Number one, is it the actual libertarian view? And number two, is it a view that you want to endorse, right? And so if you call yourself somewhat libertarian, you're going to look at some of these ideas and I think you're going to be a little bit repulsed by them. Now, you're going to look at others and you're going to think, man, this wildly good. Okay, so the first thing we're going to talk about is a tweet that he did, and it was about vaccine mandates, okay? And people basically took it completely out of context by deleting the last paragraph. That was Tim Pool did that. And sorry about the little, I totally stole this from somebody's YouTube video, but I'm not very good at Twitter. But sorry about the red circles. So let's check it out now. Give me autonomy and property rights, you mean? This is Chase Oliver saying this. A business can decide to require workers be vaccinated or limit customers to those with the vaccine, but no, government shouldn't make those decisions. This will hurt already struggling small businesses. Central planning sucks. Okay, so he says no to government mandates. Is that the libertarian position? Yes. Is that the position you endorse? Yes. Right? Now his second, well, the first thing he said was a business can decide to require workers be vaccinated or limit customers to those with the vaccine. Is that the libertarian position? And I would say yes, it is. It's governments stay out of regulation and telling corporations what they can and can't do, right? I wanted to say at first that it's a violation of libertarian principles to the customer who comes in, and then they say, "Hey, let's see all your medical records." But you can basically vote with your feet, and the same thing if you work there. So, I mean, I think I think that it is a libertarian idea, a genuine libertarian idea. And I think it is one that I definitely do not endorse because I wanted the government, in my opinion, just my non-libertarian opinion, I want the government to force businesses not to require vaccination. See, because of the new definition of vaccinations is the problem. So that's my position. You know, let me know what you think below. Now, the next subject we're going to do is that he's pro-Antifa. And I want to ask you, is that a libertarian position? And the answer is yes and no, in my opinion, because Antifa is against the militarized police. So it's definitely libertarian in that way. But I also think you could be a libertarian and be anti-Antifa. So this is one of Chase Oliver's views that I believe is optional. And it's not necessarily libertarian, but it's not unlibertarian, I would say. Okay, now we're going to go on to immigration. And I got a reference below. It's from Chase Oliver's website. So I'm basically going to shoot you screenshots straight off of there, you know? So he said about Ellis Island immigration. It should be simple for those who wish to come here to work and build a better life to appear before immigration officials at an accredited port of entry, be given medical and criminal checks to assess their safety, and receive a visa allowing them to immediately find employment. This is a process that should take at most days, not months or years. So on his website, other immigration stuff he wants is create a simpler path to citizenship for immigrants who are already here, create a path to citizenship for both DACA eligible residents and the children of foreign workers admitted to the U.S. on temporary work visas, and expand both the HB1 visa and startup visa. So they're calling this open borders, and I'm unclear of whether this is open borders or not. It's it's a lot percentage open, but this is not like there's no border whatsoever because they're still doing stuff. And I don't even know if this guy understands that at Ellis Island, just not random boats of people were showing up. People were still applying, and because they had a quota system. I mean, we did a whole episode on this. I'll link it below, but we went through all the immigration laws in the history of the United States, and they had quota systems about who could actually come here and stuff. So is this the libertarian position? I mean, I feel like open borders is much more of a, I don't know, because there's a convincing argument on the other side, because I think it was Dave Smith, and he was saying like libertarians believe in like property rights and stuff to a certain degree, and I mean to a strong degree. And so like he was saying, if I have this house, like 4 people can't just come show up in my house, and then the government can't say, yeah, you're allowed to be in my house, right? And that's what's happening when you allow illegal immigration, or I mean even immigration at all that's not approved by the people. So I'm unclear on this one. I'd like to know what you think below. This one's not super clear to me, and I definitely don't endorse any of his immigration policy views. And so the next one, I grouped a couple here. We're going to talk about like LGBTQ stuff. And so he is a gay man, and he's gay and armed, or whatever his slogan is. And so he's pro LGBTQ, which I think is a very libertarian position. Other people take that position too, but it's very libertarian. I don't endorse the position. He endorses things trans related to kids, but not surgeries for minors. So he's also pro drag queen story hour. He was asked in an interview if he would drop his kids off at drag queen story hour, and he said, yeah, just like I would at the movies. He's for men and women's sports. So all of these topics right here are, I think he's taking the libertarian position, and I don't endorse any of these positions. And so if you're libertarian, if you're a good libertarian, I think you'll be following him on these positions, and they're not good positions. Don't be a libertarian, in my opinion. Now we're going to hit some good stuff about libertarians, okay? And I'll make that conclusion at the end. Okay, so no more war and close all foreign bases. Is that the libertarian position? Absolutely. Is it a position that I endorse? Absolutely. You can't close them all. I wouldn't close them all instantly just because of treaties we've done and stuff. So like I've talked about this before, but like with Japan, you would get with them and negotiate a treaty for how long it will take for you to withdraw. Since they only have defensive forces, they would have to spend X amount of their GDP over a period of years so they could build up enough forces, and then we could leave because we kind of have an obligation. But it's got to be temporary. Next, abolish the Patriot Act, repeal FISA, and NTSA. Yes, please. Okay, these are all very libertarian positions. The Patriot Act and the FISA are violations of the citizens' rights. Definitely pro-libertarian. And I don't know what his thing is with the TSA, but I'm totally cool with ending it. And so I think all 3 are great libertarian positions. Endorse them all. Another one of his positions is no militarization of the police, and also in that same vein, to end qualified immunity. So these are both basically libertarian positions. And in my opinion, the police are so out of control in this country, just in general, that I don't want to empower the militarization of any part of this current system against the public. So I would be, and I'm definitely all the way for ending qualified immunity. And then, then of course they do no death penalty. So on his website, he says, push for the passage of the Drug Policy Reform Act, which would decriminalize possession and use of all drugs, allow for the criminal records of users to be sealed, and restore their right to vote. Okay, so this kind of is his justice-related stuff. So no death penalty is a strong libertarian position because you want less power to the state, obviously, and allowing decriminalization of all drugs, criminal records of users to be sealed, and restore their right to vote. That's definitely a libertarian view. I used to be a big no death penalty guy, and when you see all the treason going on in this country, I cannot take a no death penalty stance anymore. And as for decriminalizing all drugs, absolutely ridiculous. It's definitely a libertarian position, but I would imagine voting for that. Like, imagine. Okay, so this is his position on abortion. This is very interesting, right? Encourages states to decriminalize abortions, encourage the passage of the Hyde Amendment, which will prevent federal dollars from funding abortion clinics, and encourage states to incentivize alternatives to abortion, such as adoption, by easing burdensome regulations that greatly increase their cost. I mean, this Okay. Uh, it's very libertarian, okay? Because you're going to decriminalize something, which is very libertarian. You're going to stop federally funding abortion clinics, very libertarian, and encourage states to incentivize alternatives to abortion, such as adoption, by easing burdens and regulations that greatly increase their costs. I don't know how libertarianism that one's, but I feel like it's kind of in the neutral zone. So it's some libertarian and some not. And this is the most responsible abortion policy I've seen. I'm not a fan of abortion at all. I don't think there's ever a time. I talked about this in another episode. There's never a time when it's okay to kill a human being. There's reasons why, not times. Times of their lives that it's okay to. And don't kill babies, we'll just say. But it's funny because if a mainstream politician took this view, it would be very popular because it would abortion is just completely legal. You could just go do it. But there's all types of means to try to lower the number of abortions, which the conservatives would really like. Okay. So then we're talking about education. Quote, at the federal level, the best policy on education is remove the federal government's involvement in education. I support abolishing the Department of Education and blocking granting those funds back to states to be returned to taxpayers. I also support getting the government out of the student loan business so market forces can lower the cost of higher education over time. End quote. And then basically he also wants to make student debt dischargeable in bankruptcy. Abolishing the Department of Education is very libertarian. I don't know if student debt dischargeable in bankruptcy is a libertarian position, but I definitely agree with abolishing the Department of Education. I don't. The student debt thing is just I don't even want to go into it, honestly. So he also wants to repeal all gun restrictions which exist today. This is very libertarian. Don't want the government involved in regulating your stuff, right? Next thing there, you need a license to have a toaster, as the guy said, of course, in the famous viral video. And so it's a very libertarian position. I'm totally on board with this. Now, another thing that Mark Dice pointed out it's not really a policy, but basically he bragged when Donald Trump got banned from Twitter. Let me see if I can bring this up. Okay, basically, yeah, I'll put it up on the screen. He said, bye at real Donald Trump. Glad you are banned. Hashtag sorry, not sorry. Hashtag accountability. Hashtag 25th Amendment now. So, I mean, look, Twitter's a private company, And so I don't think it's unlibertarian to want a private company to ban somebody that you don't like or that you find distasteful, or I don't think that's an anti-libertarian idea, That's just his personal opinion. Now, if he was getting the government to do it, it would be totally anti-libertarian. So this is just the guy's personal opinion. I don't endorse his personal opinion. Obviously, I have my own opinions. But basically, when I was researching this, I didn't research it in the exact order that I presented it to you. I just kind of threw it together. And I was getting to some really good stuff, and I'm like, no war, close all foreign bases, abolish the Patriot Act, repeal FISA and NTSA. I'm like, some of the stuff sucks, like the LGBTQ stuff, Are you willing to take the bad stuff to get these really good things? But it comes down to me as the immigration, And if you do those really good things like no war, close all foreign bases, Patriot Act, FISA, and TSA, but then you just have basically open immigration, you just ruin the country. So I'm just going to have to pass. And so what I'm trying to do here, and that's like the end of the presentation, but what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to show you the specific policies of libertarianism. In my opinion, the Mises Caucus in the Libertarian Party are awesome dudes. They got some awesome views, okay? Mostly awesome views, I'll even say, right? They're just not libertarians. If we did the same and went down, say a Mises guy had got, Rexenwald had got nominated as the presidential candidate, and we had went down his list, I'll bet you we would have said, nope, not a libertarian view. Yes, I endorse it. So I'm definitely more likely to vote for a Mises Caucus. I'd have to see the policies, of course. I'm more likely to vote for them, but they're just not libertarians. They're not valuing liberty first. And so basically, if the Mises Caucus people aren't actual libertarian ideological people, but they've got really good views, you can't say, well, I'm mostly libertarian like the Mises people, because they're not libertarian. So I'm just encouraging you that if you look at policy and you say that you're a libertarian, I mean, those views are terrible. They're terrible views. And in the other episode, we had entirely different reasons why, don't tread on me and all the general stuff about libertarianism was bad. And now there's this policy stuff. So I'd really be interested in hearing what you have to say on this. Did I misrepresent any of the libertarian ideas? Are there some that you would endorse that I wouldn't endorse? I'd be interested in hearing from you. Now, tomorrow we're going to do a kind of a weird video, and it's with Victor on it. It's pre-recorded, and I tried to pitch this idea about the Eat the Rich slogan, and he just destroyed me at every point. And it was so bad that even the following week, I had to film a beginning section to it to add in, that I'm going to add in editing before you see it, because I had to try to justify some of my terrible positions that I had taken during the video. But nonetheless, we still think that it's valuable to see the thought process as it evolves throughout the episode. So we're going to run that tomorrow. And when that one goes, I'm really interested in hearing what you have to say about that one too. So if you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.